53-51, Johni Broome comes back, 16 points, 13 rebounds, couple assists. Jeff, your biggest takeaway from Auburn's 53-51 win over Tennessee?
That they can win a game like this because they'd had the number one offense in the country. That's all anybody's talked about all year. And I think it's going to be interesting to ask both Bruce and Miles how important this was for them to prove they could win against a tough team like Tennessee in a grinder where they didn't make shots and the offense didn't look pretty. And Johni Broome was rusty. You could see it, right? He played hard, but he missed a lot of bunnies that he normally made.
Yeah, there were a couple shots around the rim in the second half that he's finishing for the most part. There were a couple threes in the first half where he threw it about 3 feet over the side of the backboard. It looked like a guy that hadn't really shot a basketball too much. You could see him limping on it in the second half. We were told coming into this game they wanted it in the 20-minute range. Yeah. Jeff, I don't have
how many minutes did he play?
33. 33. You knew that was going to happen. It's Tennessee.
Well, adrenaline, right? You get the adrenaline
balls
going. He looked fine, to be honest. You really couldn't tell by the way he was moving.
In the second half, you could.
Tired, but I think it was more fatigue than anything else. When you looked at him, you couldn't tell that he was at less than 100% with the way he was moving. That's all I'd say.
And just for the people at home that are watching, I got this brand new toy. I got a brand new switcher that I'm using to change the cameras, and I've messed it up twice already. And I have Dagan's yelling in my ear. This is the kind of show we got going today, baby.
Stop hitting all the buttons.
I do whatever I want. It's my show. It's my world. I'm going to make it work.
Unbelievable.
Listen, the thing that was most impressive to me, Jeff, was that it felt in the second half, towards the end of that game, there were a couple possessions where Auburn kind of came up into, right? They went ahead 47-45, and I think they had 5 or 6 possessions where they got kind of the look you wanted, Johni Broome somewhere around the rim. They couldn't finish. Tennessee ends up tying it. No, they took the lead on the Chasler 3. 2 free throws from Zakai Ziegler got it to a 3-point lead. You got a free throw from Jemai Mayshake that got it to a 4-point lead, and then that's where we were with about a minute and a half left. Being able to bounce back, it felt like that game was gone. It kind of sitting up here, it felt like that game was lost, and they found a way to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, Johni Broome drives to the basket, gets blocked, gets the ball back, and finds Miles Kelly wide open on the wing here, who drains it. And Miles Kelly hadn't made a lot of shots. Nobody had. I mean, he wasn't the only one, but he hadn't made shots up to that point. Drills that wide open 3, and that provides kind of the game winner. And, listen, I think the biggest thing you take away from this, again, is almost the winning culture that this team has established, right? Mm-hmm. They've won so many games that now they expect to win when they're in a game, whether it's a game in the 80s, a game like tonight, it's a grinder. They just expect to win, and I think that's the beauty of this team. They've got so many guys that can make plays.
Yeah, the thing that's really – it's kind of awkward about talking about the offense that Auburn has is that generally speaking with Bruce Pearl teams, they don't necessarily win the prettiest style of basketball, right?
No.
Like they want to play up and down. They want to shoot a lot of threes, but you're not watching like free-flowing offense with creative sets. Like the way that he wants to play is very different than what like a Dan Hurley or Greg McDermott wants to do offensively. But they're still, this year, one of the best offenses in America. That's what we've been talking about. They were, before today, it's going to come down to today, but before today, they were on track to be the best offense in the Ken Pom era. And they just won a game ugly. They out Tennessee, which is a very difficult thing to do, but it shouldn't be surprising. Like that's what Bruce Pearl teams are.
Dylan Jones and Chad Baker-Mazara combined 0 for 13. They still won. They still won this game. And I think a big part, honestly, was the front court advantage. I was just talking to Rick Barnes about it in the locker room, and I said to him, like, you need more from Igor. You need more consistently from Igor. And he's like, yeah, that we're hoping. Now, again, Rick Barnes is probably the best post-game, I don't want to say loser, but he is. I mean, he's so positive, and he said to me, like, I know we have a long way we can get. We can grow a lot, and Igor is a big part of that because, again, Zakai Ziegler's terrific. And I know the numbers, maybe the field goal numbers don't really show that, but he got to the basket whenever he wanted, Rob. He could control the game. He had a good look at the end.
And if we're going to be honest, there were probably a couple of those drives where
he was fouled.
You know what? Right. After watching this game in person, I think my biggest takeaway, and I was talking to
Is it going to be about SEC officiating?
No, about the style of play of the SEC.
Yeah.
I said this to you up there, and I don't know if you heard me because it was loud in this building tonight. But I think one of my biggest takeaways is that the SEC now is what the Big 12 was 4 years ago. What I mean by that is that there's a certain level of physicality that you have to have because refs aren't going to call fouls on every possession, but everybody plays that way. So, like, Tennessee is probably going to feel begrudged about a couple of foul calls. You know who else is going to feel begrudged about foul calls? Auburn, right?
Yeah.
And you know who that happens to every single game that we have in the SEC? Both teams. It is a war. It is a war.
I just saw Alabama play South Carolina and Auburn play South Carolina within the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And they're all wars. They're all wars because, again, there's a lot of talent in this league right now. And you knew Tennessee was going to come in and match their toughness, which they did. Right? I mean, it was an ugly first half. What were they? At one point, they were 2 for 30
both
from
teams
3.
Were 1 for 15 from 3.
Right. I mean,
there was I think 9 minutes left in the game, and the score was 33-33.
Right. No, it was a real. And then they started making some shots, and again, I think the crowd was an advantage, which you knew it would be. I mean, it's amazing what Bruce Pearl has built here. I mean, just think again about how dead this place was when he got here. It was a graveyard job. Nobody wanted it. You know, Jeff Lebo and Tony Barbee had built like it was awful. It was like the worst Power 5 job in the country. And what Bruce Pearl's done in terms of, again, making it one of the best home court advantages in the country. And again, you look at them and you're like, they're talented, but they're not like ultra talented.
That's the thing. Who's the NBA player? Like the surefire pro. Johni Broome's probably going to be like, he's just too skilled and too big to not play at that level. But it's not like he's a guy that's a surefire lottery pick, right?